Om Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasanna Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhi Tamastu Mavet Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Agajanana Padmarkam Gajanana Maharnisham अनेकदन्तं भक्तानाम् एकदन्तमुपास्महे श्रीमहागणपतये नमः गुरवे सर्वलोकानां भिषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः उमाकोमलहस्ताब्जसम्भावितललाटकं हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्रजं வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹரா லோகவீரியம் மகாபூஜ்யம் சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதி ஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யகம் சுவாமியே சரணமையப்பா வாகர்த்தாவிவ சம்பிருக்தௌ வாகர்த்த பிரதிபத்தயே ஜகதः பிதரௌ வந்தே பார்வதி பரமேஸ்வரௌ ஸ்ரீ பார்வதி பரமேஸ்வராभ्यां நமः कोमलं कूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचर गुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृते कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहं कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन् हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरणभ्यर्थितानपि आर्तान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रवाटी द्रुममभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽह्यं श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि वंशी विभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलादरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടും ഇറക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചന നിന്നോടായി ഏതീനു മഞ്ഞനെ കുമ്പിടേണ്ടാത്തോരു രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കെന്നായി കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good evening, everyone. Okay, let's just dive into the class today because I'm trying to finish at least a chapter and a half today. Okay, so we'll start with 77, right? Gopiji, you can be a student, and Tulsi, you can be a student first half. So 77 is Jarasandhadi Yuddha Varnanam. So it's a fight with Jarasandha, and a few other things also happen here. So the first few stanzas I'll kind of combine and say the meaning, and then where there's details, we'll get into it. stanza 1. Sairandryastadanuchiram smaraturayaha yato bhusu lalitamudhavena sardham avasam tvadupagamotsavam sadhaiva dhyayantyah pratidinavasa sajjikayaha. Sairandryas chiram smaraturayaha. Put a visarga there and a comma. You may not have it, but put a visarga there. Question
Rajesh, tadanu nirke Sairandryas tadanu chiram.
Yeah, tadanu. Oh, I didn't say tadanu.
Oh,
yeah, tadanu irukku. Sairandryas tadanu chiram smaraturayaha, comma. Yato bhuhu, put a is. Yato bhus sulalitam uddhavena sardham avasam tvadupagamotsavam sadaiva, comma. Dhyayantyaha, put a f. Dhyayantyah pratidina vasa sajjikayaha. Sairandryastadanuchiram smaraturayaha yato bhusulalitamudhavena sardham avasam tvadupagamotsavam sadaiva dhyayantyah pratidina vasa sajjikayaha.
I should go first?
Yeah, you can go.
Oh, okay. Sairandhyastadanuchiram smaraturayaha yadho bhusulalitas suddhavena sardham avasam tvadupagamotsavam sadaiva dhyayantyah pradidina vasa sajjikayaha. Sairandryastadanuchiram smaraturayaha yato bhusulalitas uddhavena sardham avasam tvadupagamotsavam sadaiva dhyayantyah pradidina vasa sajjikayaha.
Gopi, the second line, sulalitam, im sound, okay. Sulalitam uddhavena.
Oh, okay. Sulalitam uddhavena.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sairandryastadanuchiram smaraturayaha yato bhusulalitamudhavena sartham avasam tvadupagamotsavam sadaiva dhyayantyah pratidina vasa sajjikayaha. Sairandryastadanuchiram smaraturayaha yato bhusulalitamudhavena sartham avasam tvadupagamotsavam sadaiva dhyayantyah pratidina vasa sajjikayaha.
Upagate tvayi purna manoratham, comma, pramada sambhrama kampra payodharam vivida mananam adhadatim. You can break at that mananam adhadatim muda, comma, rahasi tam ramayan chakrushe sukham. Upagate tvayi purna manoratham pramada sambhramakam prapayodharam vividhamananam adhadatim muda rahasitam ramayan chakrushe sukham.
Upagade tvayi purna manoratham pramada sambhrakam prapayodharam vividhamananam adadadim muda rahasitam ramayan chakrushe sukham. Upagate tvayi purna manoratham pramada sankramakam prapayodharam vividhamananam adadadim muda rahasitam ramayan chakrushe sukham.
Upagate tvayi purna manoratham pramada sambhramakam prapayodharam vividhamananam पद्धतिं मुदा रहसि तां रमयां च कृषे सुखम् उपगते त्वयि पूर्णमनोरथां प्रमदसम्भ्रमकं प्रपयोधराम् विविधमाननमादधती मुदा रहसि तां रमयां च कृषे सुखम्
पृष्ट्वा वरं पुनरसाववृणोत् वराकी कॉमा भूयस्त्वया सुरतमेव निशान्तरेषु
ராஜேஷ் அந்த முதல் லைன் திருப்பி சொல்லுங்க.
पृष्ट्वा वरं
பிருஷ்டான போட்டிருக்கேன்.
पृष्टावरं पुनरसाववृणोद्वराकी भूयस्त्वया पुनरसाववृणोद्वराकी long e भूयस्त्वया सुरतमेव निशान्तरेषु short u सायुज्यम अस्त्विति, easy to break it that way, सायुज्यम अस्त्विति वदेत् बुध एव कामम comma next word, it's a little tongue twister. I'm going to break it into 3 parts. सामीप्यम अस्त्वनिशम इत्यपि सामीप्यम अस्त्वनिशम इत्यपि नाब्रवीत् किम पृष्टावरं this tune is different in this. पृष्टावरं पुनरसाववृणोद्वराकी भूयस्त्वया सुरतमेव निशान्तरेषु सायुज्यमस्त्विति वदेत् बुध एव कामं सामीप्यमस्त्वनिशमित्यपि नाब्रवीत् किम्
पृष्टावरं पुनरसाववृणोद्वराकी भूयस्त्वया सुरतम् एव निशान्तरेषु सायुज्यम् अस्त्विति वदेत् बुध एव कामं सामीप्यम् अस्त्वनिशम् इत्यपि नाब्रवीत् किम् पृष्टावरं पुनरसाववृणोद्वराकी भूयस्त्वया सुरतम् एव निशान्तरेषु सायुज्यम् अस्त्विति वदेत् बुध एव कामं सामीप्यम् अस्त्वनिशम् इत्यपि नाब्रवीत् किम्
पृष्टावरं पुनरसाववृणोद्वराकी भूयस्त्वया सुरतमेव निशान्तरेषु सायुज्यमस्त्विति वदेत् बुध एव कामं सामीप्यमस्त्वनिशमित्यपि नाब्रवीत् किम् पृष्टावरं पुनरसाववृणोद्वराकी भूयस्त्वया सुरतमेव निशान्तरेषु सायुज्यमस्त्विति वदेत् बुध एव कामं सामीप्यमस्त्वनिशमित्यपि नाब्रवीत् किम्
Both of you said the different tune. I think so. Like the second stanza and the third stanza tune is different, right? So third and fourth, fifth are. So I'll say the second once and I'll say the third just one time. Second one is upagate tvayi purnamanoratam pramada sambhramakam prapayodharam vividamananamadadati muda rahasitam ramayancha krishe sukham. That's that tune. This is पृष्टावरं पुनरसाववृणोद्वराकी भूयस्त्वया सुरतमेव निशान्तरेषु सायुज्यमस्त्विति वदेत् बुध एव कामं सामीप्यमस्त्वनिशमित्यपि नाब्रवीत् किम्. I don't know which is which chapters, but you can see the difference in this because that's when the next set of stanzas will land. Otherwise, sometimes it may not land. That's all. Okay. Anyway, so stanza 4, and I'll say this, split this, and then I'll say the meaning up to 4. Tato bhavan deva nishasu kasu chit. So you will have an in there. So remove that in, put a it, kasuchit, comma, it, comma. Mrigidrisham tam nibritam vinodayan. Adat upashloka iti shrutam sutam, comma. Sa naradat satvata tantra vidbhabau. So let's just get up to speed on the meaning so far, right? So if you all remember, in when we were doing the 74th chapter, right? If you have the book with you, you go back to the 74th chapter, look at the 5th stanza. So there is one stanza which comes Kubjam abja vilochanam patipunar drishtvangarage taya datte sadhu kilangaraga madadha tasya mahantam hridi chittastam rujutamata pratayitum gatre tasya sphutam grinnan manjukarena tamudanayah tavad jagat sundari. So Krishna, when he came to Mathura, he saw this hunchback lady who was actually selling some perfumes, and and she offered it to Krishna and Balarama, although it was meant for Kamsa. So she was Trivakra, which means she was bent in 3 places, and she could not even see who was asking. But somehow when she was looking down, because her head was always looking down because she was hunchbacked, and then she saw the feet of Krishna, and then she said, I'm going to give it to you, right? That's what he did. And that time Krishna then put his feet on her feet and then put his hand below her chin and just lifted her, and then she became Tavad Jagat Sundari. She became a very beautiful person because she was already pretty, but she had the hunchback, right? So she became like a normal person. So this person then tells Krishna at the time, please come to my home. You blessed me with this. I really want to host you, right? But Krishna says, no, I have important things to take care of. And that's when he goes off to the bow ceremony and Kamsa Vadam, all of that happens, right? So now when all of that is done, so this lady is referred to as Sairandrias, who is the person, the female attendant of Kamsa, who actually gave this, the fragrances to Krishna and Balarama and everybody. So Krishna and Balarama and Uddhava, so all 3 of them decide to go pay a visit to her, and she's been expecting Krishna to come for a really long time, but Krishna got busy with, the Kamsa Vadam happened, and then, he ended up going to Sandipani ashramam for learning. So all of that were happening. So all of that got done. Finally, when he got time, Krishna, along with Uddhava and Balarama, ended up going to her house. So they go to her house, and of course, she's been waiting for Krishna, for several, I don't know how many months or whatever time had actually passed. And, of course, she's extremely happy. And then she offers Krishna all the things that she has to offer. And in the 3rd stanza, then, Krishna tells, ask me what you want. Because, you've given me all these things. You are so attentful to me. So what is it that you want? So here, so she says, I want you to be only with me. That is the boon she asks for, right? I don't want you to go anywhere else. And I want you to be only with me. So here Bhattacharya then says, you know what, you had such a great opportunity where Krishna is coming and asking you, what is it you want? Either you should have said, give me liberation, in which case you would have got liberated, Sayujyam, you would have become merged with Krishna. Or you could have said, Samipyam, at least marry me, so at least you can be always with me. So she asked for neither. She just said, I just want you to be with me all the time. So Krishna says, that's not possible, right? So Krishna then goes away, right? And here in Narayaneeyam, and it is not there in Bhagavatam, but in Narayaneeyam, in 4th stanza, it says, Krishna, you bless her with a child whose name is Adat Upashloka. Upashloka is the name of the child, who then Narada ends up teaching all these things and becomes a very great person, right? It's not referenced anywhere else, but it is there here in Narayaneeyam, and says that, that child is there, but Krishna doesn't marry her, but she is blessed with a child, and then name is Upashloka, who the 4th stanza says, Sa Naradat Satvata Tantra Vidbhavav. So Narada actually ends up teaching this something called as a Sattva Tantra, which is that 4th line in that 4th stanza. He ends up teaching that, and because of that, that Upashloka becomes a very famous person. And that's the end of the story. After that, this lady doesn't come anymore. Tato bhavan deva nishasuka suchite mrigi trisham tam nibritam vinodayan adadupashloka iti shrutam sutam sanaradat satvata tantra vidbhabau.
Tato bhavan deva nirashu kasuchit mrigi drisham tam nibridam vinodayan अदादुपश्लोक इति श्रुतं सुतं स नारदात् सात्वत तत्र विद्भवौ तंत्र विद्भवौ.
And the first line, Gopiji, Nishasu. Sha.
Okay. ततो भवान् देव निशासु कासुचित् मृगीदृशं तां निभृतं विनोदयन्. Sorry, next. अदादुपश्लोक इति श्रुतं सुतं स नारदात् सात्वत तंत्र विद्भवौ. This is also the same tune as the previous
Same tune,
stanza.
yeah. So the third, fourth, and the fifth stanzas are the same tune. 1 and 2 are same tune. Then after sixth, the tune changes again.
Okay, sure.
ततो भवान् देव निशासु कासुचित् मृगीदृशं तां निभृतं विनोदयन् अदादुपश्लोक इति श्रुतं सुतं स नारदात् सात्वत तंत्र विद्भवौ. ततो भवान् देव निशासु कासुचित् मृगीदृशां तां निभृतं विनोदयन् अदादुपश्लोक इति श्रुतं सुतं स नारदात् सात्वत तंत्र विद्भवौ.
The third line, first word, Adad Upashloka. I think you said an extra da, I heard it. Adad Upashloka.
Sure.
Stanza 5. Akrura Mandiram Ithota Balodha Vabhyam. Put a im at the end of that line. Balodha Vabhyam, comma. Next line, the ma becomes a. Abhyarchito Bahu Nuto Muditena Tena Enam Visrujya Bipinagata Pandaveya, put a plus. Vrittam Vivedita Tatha Dhritarashtra Cheshtam. So now we'll start gradually getting into Krishna is getting older, right? So as Krishna is getting older, some of this Mahabharata things start getting intertwined into the stories. So, after all of this happens, one day, right, we don't know when, Krishna, Balarama then decide to pay a visit to Akrura's house. So we saw Akrura last time, right? So this Akrura's house, because they're all in Mathura right now. So they goes there and Akrura is very happy. I think Krishna was meeting Akrura only after that point, only now, because in Bhagavatam, Akrura says, I'm really thankful that you got rid of Kamsa and now everything is stable, everything is stabilized, and he thanks him and all that. And Krishna then says, Akrura, I need a help from you. He says that, these Pandavas, my cousins, they've actually lost their father. And, Pandu is dead. And Mother Kunti is now taking care of these boys. And she has just come to Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra has brought Kunti over to that place. And I'm hearing that, his sons are not treating the Pandu sons. They're small still. Relatively small, right? Small as in like probably teenagers or something like that, right? So they're not treating them properly. So can you please go there and then inquire about them, right? As to what is actually happening. So Krishna just sends Akrura as a messenger to Hastinapura. Akrura mandiramitotta balodhavabhyam abhyarchito bahunuto muditena tena Enam visritya vipinagata pandaveya vrittam vivedita tata dhritarashtra cheshtam.
अक्रूरमन्दिरमिधोत बलोद्भवाभ्याम् आभ्यर्थितो बहुनुतो मुदितेन तेन एनं विसृज्य विपिनागत पाण्डवेय वृत्तं विवेदित तथा धृतराष्ट्रचेष्टाम्.
Gopiji, second line, abhyarchito, archana, abhyarchito.
Okay, abhyarchito. अक्रूरमन्दितमिथोद्धबलोद्धवाभ्याम् अभ्यर्चितो बहुनुतो मुदितेन तेन एनं विसृज्य विपिनागत पाण्डवेय वृत्तं विवेदित तथा धृतराष्ट्रचेष्टाम्.
अक्रूरमन्दिरमिथोऽथ बलोद्धवाभ्याम् Abhyachito bahunuto muditena tena. Sorry, I'm losing the tune.
I think the second line you're going off tune. First line you started Karya. Enam visrajya.
Enam visrujya vipinagata pandaveya. Vrittam vivedita tatha dhrutarashtra cheshtam. I'm so sorry, I lost the tune.
You got it now. Yeah, go ahead.
अक्रूरमन्दिरमिथोऽथ बलोद्धवाभ्याम् अभ्यर्चितो बहुनुतो मुदितेन तेन एनं विसृज्य विपिनागतपाण्डवेय वृत्तं विवेदित तथा धृतराष्ट्रचेष्टाम्.
Maybe next line the tune is changing, so no worries. Vigataj ij sound. Vigataj jamatuhu, put a F, jamatuf parama suhrudo bhoja nripatehe, put a visarga comma. Next line on top of the ja, you'll have a ir, remove that. Jara sande rundat yanavadhi, that's one word. Rundat yanavadhi rushandetha mathuram. Rata dyair dyor labdhaihi, put a if sound, labdhaih katipaya balas tvam balayutaha, put a visarga comma. Next line is goes away. Trayo Bimshat yakshauhini, that akshauhini, I'll tell you what that means, but Bimshat yakshauhini tadupanitam samahritaha. So here is where this Jarasandha story is coming. I'll tell you who Jarasandha is much later, because there is a context when Jarasandha actually gets killed. I'll tell you about Jarasandha then. But anyway, the what's happening here is after Kamsa is dead, Kamsa had two wives, Asti and Prapti. These Asti and Prapti were actually sisters, and they were actually daughters of Jarasandha. So Jarasandha is Kamsa's father-in-law. And since Jarasandha and Kamsa were also very thick friends, father-in-law and son-in-law were very tight friends, because they were all kind of having the same set of enemies, right? So they kind of were bonding with each other. So when Kamsa was dead, this Asti and Prapti go there, and then they tell Jarasandha how they become widowed. So because of which Jarasandha now treats Krishna as an enemy, because he's widowed his daughters, right? So what he does is he comes and attacks Mathura. So he comes with what is called as an Akshauhini. And Akshauhini is a formation, and I have the numbers here in my book. It has 21,870 elephants and the same number of chariots and 3 times the horses as the chariots and about 5 times people as the elephants. So 21,000 elephants, 21,000 chariots, 65,000 horses, and 1,000,000 infantry, or 100,000, 109,000 infantry, right? Or people. So that is called as one Akshauhini. So what he does is he brings in 23 Akshauhinis, right? That's the number of people who come to attack Mathura. So he comes, however, when he comes to attack Krishna, so Krishna now has to decide, should I get rid of this Jarasandha or not, right? So then Bhagavatam, they talk about how Krishna is contemplating. Of course, Krishna knows what he needs to do, but they're kind of talking about this, his thought process, right? So you say Krishna avataram is there for a certain purpose. So the incarnation is there. So he doesn't want to get rid of Jarasandha right now, because through Jarasandha, a lot of other things are going to happen. And also Jarasandha is not destined to die at the hand of Krishna. So what Krishna and Balarama do, just they both, along with very limited of the Yadava army, go get rid of this entire Akshauhini, entire 23 Akshauhinis, they get rid, but they don't do anything to Jarasandha. So Jarasandha ends up fleeing, right? So that's what is happening here in the first one. So this one again, tune is changing. This is like the 4-liner tune. Vighata Jamatu Paramasuhrudo Bhojan Ripatehe Jarasandhe Rundat Yanavadi Tamaturam Ratadhyair Dyor Labdaih Katipaya Balastvam Balayutaha Trayo Vimshat Yakshauhini Tadupanitam Samahritaha.
Yeah, Rajesh, definitely I need help with this one.
Yeah, go ahead. If you want to break it 2 lines, you can do it as 2 lines through. So go ahead, yeah.
Vighada Jamata Paramasuhruto Bhojanapatehe Jarasandhe Rundham Rundah. It's Anavadhi or?
Let's see, it's Rundati anavadhi, but it becomes joined together in sandhi. So rundat yanavadi.
Okay. Jarasandhe rundat yanavati rushandhe the madhurat. Next one is Madhuram.
Rushandheta mathuram.
Madhuram. Okay.
Yeah, just do two lines. Just do the second.
Yeah.
That's India again.
Vikhata jamatav paramasuhruto bhoja nupratehe jara sandhe rundat yanavadi rushantheta madhuram radhadhyordyorlabdhe katipaya balastvam balayutah. Is it okay? Is it
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
Next line starts with
Trayo.
Okay. Okay. Trayo vimshatyakshauhini tadupanitam samahyathaha samahrataha radhader dyorlabdhe katipaya balastvam balayutah tatrayo vimshatyakshauhini tadupanitam samahrataha.
Correct. The fourth line, first word, Gopiji, this starts with a trayo vimshat.
Okay, trayo. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, I will correct it here.
Yeah.
Try. Thank you.
Rajesh, can you give me the tune?
Yeah. Vigata jamatuh paramasugrudo bhojanripatehe.
Vighata cha matuf sorry, I'm repeating again. Vighata cha matuf paramasuhruto bhojan rupatehe jarasanthe rundatyanavati rushande thata madhuram ratha dhairyoptaif katipaya bhalastvam balayutah त्रयो विंशत्यक्षौहिणी तदुपनीतं समहृथा.
This one doesn't follow the tune. This is like the four-liner, right? So there's no tune or anything. It's just straight up, right?
Okay.
I'll just say the first two lines. Vigata jamatuh paramasugrudo bhojanripatehe jarasande rundat yanavadi rushandhe tamathuram. It's like the four-liner tune.
Vighata cha matuf paramasuhruto bhojan rupatehe jarasandhe rundatyanavadi rushande tamathuram ratha dhairyoktaih katipaya bhalastvam balayutah त्रयो विंशत्यक्षौहिणी तदुपनीतं समहृथाः.
I think you're stuck to the tune. So next, this chapter is a little bit one of those chapters where every other stanza the tune is changing because of the meter chandas, right? So, anyways, stanza 7. Baddham baladata balena balottaram tvam, comma, bhuyo balodhyama rasena mumochi tainam nishesha dig jaya samahrita vishwa sainyat, comma, konyas tato hi bala paurshavams tadanim. So what happens here? So when Jarasandha, the entire army actually gets defeated. So all his soldiers are gone, all his chariots, everything that is gone. So only Jarasandha was left, right? So at that time, Krishna says to Jarasandha, I am not going to do anything to you. You can go, right? So Balarama actually ties Jarasandha, and then they eventually let him go. So, when Balarama is about to kill Jarasandha, Krishna tells him, don't do it, just let him go. So for a king of this stature, right? So there is always this thing, when somebody lets you go, it is like a big insult, right? So, and he was at that time, it talks about it, at the time, he was one of the most powerful of kings who were there in the regions, because we saw the amount of akshauhinis he actually had. So for him, just letting him go was like a big insult to him. But Krishna just lets him go, doesn't do anything to him. So this one is a different tune again. I think the 7, 8, 9, 10, 7, 8, 9 are one tune in this. So Baddham baladata balena balottaram tvam bhuyo balodhyamarasena mumochithainam निःशेष दिग्जय समाहृत विश्वसैन्यात् कोऽन्यस्ततो हि बलपौरुषवांस्तदानीम्.
बद्धं बलादथ बलेन बलोत्तरं त्वं भूयो बलोद्यमरसेन मुमोचिनैनं निःशेष दिग्जयः समाहृत विश्वसैन्यात् कोऽन्यस्ततो हि बलपौरुषवांस्तदानीम्.
Gopiji, the second line, last word, mumochithainam.
Okay, मुमोचितैनं. बद्धं बलादथ बलेन बलोत्तरं त्वं भूयो बलोद्यमरसेन मुमोचितैनं निःशेष दिग्जय समाहृत विश्वसैन्यात् कोऽन्यस्ततो हि बलपौरुषवांस्तदानीम्.
बद्धं बलादथ बलेन बलोत्तरं त्वं भूयो बलोद्यमरसेन मुमोचितैनं निःशेषदिग्जय समाहृत विश्वसैन्यात् कोऽन्यस्ततो हि बलपौरुषवांस्तदानीम्. बद्धं बलादथ बलेन बलोत्तरं त्वं भूयो बलोद्यमरसेन मुमोचितैनं निःशेषदिग्जय समाहृत विश्वसैन्यात् कोऽन्यस्ततो हि बलपौरुषवांस्तदानीम्.
Stanza 8. Bhagnaha, put is bhagnas sa lagna hridayopi nripaihi, put f nripai pranunno, comma yuddham tvaya vyadita shodasha kritva evam akshauhinihi, is there put ish akshauhinish shiva shivasya jagantha vishno, comma sambhuya saika navati trishatam tadanim. So this Jarasandha, now like we said, because he was a very famous king, and when they don't kill him in the battlefield, it's a big insult to them. So he is actually very ashamed that he was actually let go by Krishna and Balarama, although he was captured, right? So when he now goes and he does a lot of penance and everything because he wants to really fight back. So at the time, a lot of the other kings tell him, you know what, Jarasandha, it's not worth. You went with, in the 23 Akshauhinis and then you still lost, right? So there's no use fighting Krishna and Balarama anymore, right? And so sometimes, it's your karma. You're not going to win against them. So they tell him not to. But somehow he comes and he does Shodasha. He attacks 16 more times, right? So he already attacked one time. Then he attacks 16 more times with 23 Akshauhinis every single time, or something like that, because totally it says, Saika Navati Trishatam. So 391 Akshauhinis eventually attacked. So one time and then 16 times. So 17 times 23, right? So 391 Akshauhinis eventually kept attacking. 16 more times he attacked. And every single time, the Akshauhinis, all of them were getting eliminated, but Jarasandha was left and he was sent back, right? So that was what was happening. Was the purpose was he had to remain, but a lot of the other kings were getting rid of them. So anyway, he says, oh, what a wonder that you are able to get Krishna and Balarama, get rid of everybody, but Jarasandha was escaping for 17 times. Bhagnasa lagna hridayopi nripaih pranunno yuddham tvaya vyadita shodasha kritva evam Akshauhini Shiva Shivasya Jagantha Vishno Sambhuya Saika Navati Trishatam Tadanim.
भग्नः सलग्नहृदयोऽपि नृपैः प्रनुन्नो युद्धं त्वया व्यधितषोडशशक्य एवम् अक्षौहिणी शिव शिवास्य जगन्धविष्णो सम्भूय सैकनवति त्रिशतं तदानीम् भग्नः सलग्नहृदयोऽपि नृपैः प्रनुन्नो युद्धं त्वया व्यधित षोडश शक्त्य एवम्
Gopiji, that shodasha kritva evam.
Okay. षोडश कृत्वा एवम् अक्षौहिणी शिव शिवस्य जलन्ध विष्णु जघन्त विष्णु सम्भूय सैकनवदि त्रिशतं तदानीम्
भग्नः सलग्नहृदयोऽपि नृपैः प्रणुन्नो युद्धं त्वया व्यथित षोडश कृत्वा एवम् अक्षौहिणी शिव शिवास्य जघन्द विष्णो सम्भूय सैकनवति त्रिशतं तदानीम् भग्नः सलग्नहृदयोऽपि नृपैः प्रणुन्नो युद्धं त्वया व्यथित षोडश कृत्वा एवम् अक्षौहिणी शिव शिवास्य जघन्द विष्णो सम्भूय सैकनवति त्रिशतं तदानीम्.
Both of you have the tune different, but that's okay. I think we'll get the lyrics this time. But stanza 9. Ashtadashosya samare samupeyushi tvam drishtva purota yavanam yavana trikotya tvashtra vidhapya puramashu payodi madhye tatrata yoga balataha putais balatas swjanan anaishihi.
அது புறமாஷுவா பரமாஷுவா தேர்ட் லைன்ல
Puramashu, Puram,
புறமாஷு
Puram, yeah, Puram, city. So 17 times Jarasandha tries now, right? And he's lost. So 17 times 23, 391 Akshohinis he's tried, not working out. So this time, the 18th time, he now gets a support. He gets support from a Yavana. Yavana is actually referring to somebody from Greece, right? And the story goes that there was this Yavana from Greece, right? A Yavana king who was actually looking around for who he can actually defeat, right? And he was also one of those atrocious people who was really bad ruler. He was actually killing a lot of people. So he was looking to see who's my equivalent. And in Bhagavatam it says that Narada actually goes tell that Yavana that there is actually a person in Mathura who's supposed to be very strong, and you go attack him, right? So this Yavana all the way from Greece comes to attack Mathura, and he comes with like Yavana Trikotya, so 3 crores, 30 million people, Greeks, come all the way from Greek to attack Mathura. So at that time, Jarasandha is also attacking for the 18th time Mathura. So Krishna is saying on one end, Jarasandha is going to attack because Krishna knows Jarasandha is going to come to attack. And on the other end, this Yavana is attacking. So Krishna says that I have to get out of Mathura. First of all, for the protecting the people of the city, the Yadavas, as well as the way Mathura was situated, it was very easy for people to come through. So that's when overnight, it says by your yogic power, right? Yoga bhalataha, pure yogic power, Krishna, you have Vishwakarma construct a fort, an island in the ocean, which is about 12 yojanas in circumference, which is about 96 miles in circumference. You construct a fort, and within that fort, you establish a city, and overnight, you move all your Yadavas from Mathura to Dwaraka. So that's how Dwaraka is getting established here, right? And then the story goes that the citizens of Mathura went to sleep in Mathura. When they woke up, they were in Dwaraka. So nobody knows how they actually got there, but they all got moved over to Dwaraka overnight. And that was one way that everybody got moved now. So that way, nobody comes to attack Mathura. So now we saw how Krishna came from Vrindavan to Mathura. Now Krishna has moved from Mathura to Dwaraka. So now everything that's going to happen from now on happens in Dwaraka. अष्टादशेस्य समरे समुपेयुषे त्वं दृष्ट्वा पुरोत यवनं यवनत्रिकोट्या त्वष्ट्राभिधाप्य पुरमाशु पयोधि मध्ये तत्रात योग बलतः स्वजनाननैषीः.
अष्टादशेस्य समरे समुपेयुषि त्वं दृष्ट्वा पुरोधयवनं यवनत्रिकोट्या त्वष्ट्रा विधोप्य पुरमाशुपयोधि मध्ये तत्राधयोगबलतः स्वजनाननैषीः अष्टादशेस्य समरे समुपेयुषित्वं दृष्ट्वा पुरोधयवनं यवनत्रिकोट्या त्वष्ट्रा विधाप्य पुरमाशुपयोधि मध्ये तत्राधयोगबलतः स्वजनाननैषीः
अष्टादशेस्य समरे समुपेयुषित्वं दृष्ट्वा पुरोधयवनं यवनत्रिकोट्या त्वष्ट्रा विधाप्य पुरमाशुपयोधि मध्ये तत्राधयोगबलतः स्वजनाननैषीः अष्टादशेस्य समरे समुपेयुषित्वं दृष्ट्वा पुरोधयवनं यवनत्रिकोट्या त्वष्ट्रा विधाप्य पुरमाशुपयोधि मध्ये तत्राधयोगबलतः स्वजनाननैषीः.
Stanza 10.
Rajesh, are there any commas here?
And the end of the lines, there are commas.
Okay, but not in between, right? Like
Not in
after
between.
tvam, there's no. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's continuous. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, stanza 10. So this is now 10 and 11 are 4-liners. Padbhyam tvam padmamali chakita iva puran nirgato dhavamano mleche shenanuyato badasukruta vihinena shailenya leishihi suktena drutamata muchukundena bhasmikritesmin bhupayasmai guhante sulalita vapusha tastishe bhakti bhaje. So now all the residents of Mathura have been moved to Dwaraka. So Krishna now tells Balarama that you guard Mathura, right? I'm going to go fight this Yavana and everybody. So with that, Krishna comes out. Now, how does this Yavana know who Krishna is, right? So Narada tells this Yavana of what to look for. He says, when you go, you see this person, he'll be wearing a pitambaram, he'll be wearing a yellow garment. He's always wearing a garland of lotus flowers, and he's dark blue in complexion, right? And it's very dark, and that's his complexion, and he's got long arms. Narada describes Krishna to Yavana. So this Krishna, what happens is at that time when the Yavana is on the gates of Mathura and nobody is there, all the army of Mathura is inside, Krishna walks out of the gates of Mathura with no top, with no shirt. He's just wearing a garland. He's wearing the pitambaram, and he walks out of it. So the moment the Yavana sees Krishna, he removes, okay, this is the person that Narada has said that I have to get rid of. So this is that Krishna. So now what Krishna does is he runs at that point. He runs away from that Yavana. Outside the castle, outside the fort, he runs. Anybody know what is the name that was given to Krishna as a result of this? Ranchod. So that was like a one who left the battlefield and ran. So that is Krishna's name for this, Ranachod. He left the battlefield and ran. So this Yavana is thinking, what Narada said, he's my equivalent person, but this person is like running away from the battlefield. And who runs away from the battlefield? Showing his back, right? So Krishna is literally running away. So this Yavana then also runs to try to catch Krishna. But then, of course, he's not destined, right, to touch Krishna. So, of course, he's trying to catch Krishna. He's not able to. And then he hurls a lot of abuses. He says, you say you're from the Yadava dynasty. It says you are a big ruler and you killed, you got rid of Jarasandha's army 17 times, but I can't believe you're running away from the battlefield. He hurls all these insults. Krishna doesn't say anything. He just continues to run. And this Yavana thinks it's like a coward, right? And he continues to chase. Krishna then enters into a cave. So, and the Yavana also enters into a cave. And there, this Yavana, he sees that there is somebody who's lying on the floor with a pitambaram on top. So this Yavana says, you know what, this guy runs and he comes and hides into this cave, and then he's sleeping in the cave, right? So what he does is he comes and kicks that person who's sleeping there. And when he kicks that person, whoever was sleeping, thinking it is Krishna, saying, we're covered, you wake up, and he kicks him. And when that person wakes up and looks at it, the Yavana is burned to ashes. and that is the person who is there is called Muchukunda. So we'll see who Muchukunda is in the next line, next stanza, right? But this Muchukunda, who was the person who was sleeping, and then when the Muchukunda opens his eyes, looks at the Yavana burns to ashes, and at that time Krishna comes out from behind. So Padbyam Tvam Padmamali, comma, Chakita iva Puran Nirgato Dhavamano, comma, Mleche Shenanu Yato, comma, Bada Sukruta Vihinena Shaile Nyalaishihi. Padbyam Tvam Padmamali Chakita iva Puran Nirgato Dhavamano Mleche Shenanu Yato Bada Sukruta Vihinena Shaile Nyalaishihi.
Padbhyam tvam padmamali chakita iva puranyargato dhavamano mleche shena nuyato vadasukrata vihinena shaile nyaleshihi. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Padbhyam tvam padmamali chakita iva puranyargato dhavamano Mleche shenanuyato vadasukrata vihinena shaile nyaleshihi.
Rajeshri, the first one is Padabhyam, right?
Padbyam.
Padbhyam. Okay. Okay. Padbhyam tvam padmamali chakitaiva puran nirgato dhavamano leche shenanuyato vadha sukruta vihinena shaile nyaleshihi.
Vihinena. Second line. Vihinena Shaile.
Vihinena shaile. Okay. Padbhyam tvam padmamali chakitaiva puran nirgato dhavamano mleche shenanuyato vadha sukruta vihinena shaile nyalaishihi.
Right. So we'll switch halfway. Vikram, you can be a student. Sundari, you can be a student. Supte na griyahatena. So griya. Supte na griyahatena, comma. Drutamata muchukundena bhasmi kritesmin, comma. Bhupa yasmai guhante, comma. Su lalita vapusha tastishe bhakti bhaje. Suptena griyahatena Drutamata muchukundena bhasmikritesmin bhupa yasmai guhante sulalita vapusha tastishe bhakti bhaje.
Suptena kriyahatena drutamath muchukundena bhasmikritesmin bhupayasmai guhante sulalita vapusha tastishe bhakti bhaje. Rajesh ji, guhante का प्रकार था.
Guhante का प्रकार.
Suptena gृह्याहतेन.
Another suptena angriya. So this suptena griyahatena.
Suptenangriyahatena drutamath muchukundena bhasmikrite asmin bhupayasmai guhante sulalita vapusha tastishe bhakti bhaje.
Supte nanghriyahatena drutamata muchukundena bhasmikritesmin bhupa yasmai guhante sulalita vapusha tastishe bhakti bhaje. Supte nanghriyahatena drutamata muchukundena bhasmikritesmin bhupa yasmai guhante sulalita vapusha tastishe bhakti bhaje.
Sundari, நீங்க வந்து supta using supte nangrate. Short u. Okay. Third line, first word.
Third line.
First word.
Okay.
Supte nangre. I think you said supte. You said long u chonel.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Stanza 11. Aikshvakoham viraktosmyakila nrupasukhe tvatprasadaika kankshi ha deveti stuvantam varabitati shutam nispruham vikshya krishyan mukte stulyam cha bhaktim dhrita sakalamalam mokshamapyashu dattva karyam himsa vishuddhyai tapa ichi chatada praptaloka pratityai. This is Muchukunda. He says, I am from this Aikshva from the Ikshvaku dynasty. So he says that at one point, when Indra and the Devas actually needed support, this Muchukunda went and fought battles on the side of the Devas, getting rid of a lot of the Asuras. And he never stopped. Like, he didn't care about his own family, and he kept fighting for years and years, right, without any break. And finally, after the Devas won all the battles and they came back, Muchukunda saw that his family was no longer there. His family had all died because he was fighting for so many years, right? So then Indra got very pleased and said, Muchukunda, like, you fought on my side for so many years without worrying. What do you want? So Muchukunda says, all I want is just rest. I don't want to do anything else anymore. I'm done, right? So Indra says, so be it. You go rest. Till you want, you rest. And if anybody comes and breaks your rest, that person will get burnt into ashes. So that is the boon this Muchukunda had gotten. So that's why he was sleeping there, and Krishna, of course, knows it. And like we said, that Yavana was not destined to die at the hand of Krishna. So Krishna brought that Yavana there and put that covered Muchukunda with his cloth, and then Yavana kicked. Muchukunda woke up, and that Yavana got burnt to ashes. So now this Muchukunda, now when Krishna comes out, Muchukunda recognizes who it is. And then Krishna says, what do you want? He says, I don't want anything. I just want complete devotion to you. So Krishna then tells, of course, you committed a lot of sins. So he says, tapa iti chatada. He says, you go do more tapam. You go do more penance. So he sends him to Badrikashramam and says, you go do tapas there in Badrikashramam till all your sins get eradicated and eventually you'll get liberated. So that's what happens to this Muchukunda. So Aikshva koham Viraktosmyakila. Okay, so Virakto, Asmi, Akhila, multiple words there joined together. So Viraktosmyakila, Nripa Sukhe, comma. So up to that continuous and then a comma. Tvat Prasadaika Kankshi, comma. Ha Deveti Stuvantam, comma. Vara Vitatishu Tam Nihi, put a is again, Nis Spriham Vikshya Krishyam. Aikshvakoham viraktosmyakila nripasukhe tvatprasadaikanshi ha devete stuvantam varabitatishutam nispruham vikshya krishyam.
Aikshvakoham viraktosmyakhilan nripasuke tvatprasadaikanshi ha deveti stuvantam varavitatishotam nispraham vikshya
Krishyam.
Vikshya Krishyam. Aikshvakoham viraktosmyakhilan nripasukhe tvatprasadaikanshi ha deveti stuvantam varavitatishutam tam nispraham vikshya Krishyam.
Aikshvakoham viraktosmyakhilan rupasukhe tvatprasadaikanshi ha deveti stuvantam varavitatishutam nispruham vikshya krishyam. Aikshvakoham viraktosmyakhilan rupasukhe tvatprasadaikanshi ha deveti stuvantam varavitatishutam nispruham vikshya krishyam.
Muktes tulyam cha bhaktim drita sakala malam. Some books have malam, just change it to malam if you have malam. So dhuta sakala malam, comma, moksham apyashu dattva karyam himsa vishuddhyai tapa iti cha tada, comma, pratta loka pratityai. Muktestulyam cha bhaktim dhuta sakalamalam mokshamapyashu dattva karyam himsa vishuddhyai tapa iti cha tada prataloka pratityai.
தத்வாக்கு அப்புறம் காமா இருக்கா?
Dattu, ama, end of that line. Dattu akapram comma, end of that line.
Okay.
मुक्ते स्तुल्यां च भक्तिं धुतसकलमलं मोक्षमप्याशु दत्त्वा कार्यं हिंसा विशुद्ध्यै तपैति च तदा प्रार्थलोकप्रतीत्यै मुक्ते स्तुल्यां च भक्तिं धुतसकलमलं मोक्षमप्याशु दत्त्वा कार्यं हिंसा विशुद्ध्यै तपैति च तदा प्रार्थलोकप्रतीत्यै
मुक्ते स्तुल्याञ्च भक्तिं धुतसकलमलं मोक्षमप्याशु दत्त्वा कार्यं हिंसा विशुद्ध्यै तपैति च तदा प्रार्थलोकप्रतीत्यै मुक्ते स्तुल्याञ्च भक्तिं धुतसकलमलं मोक्षमप्याशु दत्त्वा कार्यं हिंसा विशुद्ध्यै तपैति च तदा प्रार्थलोकप्रतीत्यै
Stanza 12. Tadanu mathuram gatva hatva chamum yavanahritam magadapati marge sainyai pureva nivaritah charama vijayam darpayasmai pradhaya palayito jaladhi nagarim yato vatalayeshwara pahimam. So with that, after this, Muchukunda was then sent out, and Yavana is of course gone now. So Krishna, you came back to Mathura because the Yavana's army was still there. So he had to get rid of the Yavana army, which they did. They got Krishna and Balarama got rid of the 3 crores or 30 million Yavanas who had come. They got rid of him, and then this Jarasandha was there. He has now come for the 18th time. So Krishna said, you know what? It's time that I end up losing to him, so this person doesn't keep attacking me. So what Krishna and Balarama do is they actually end up running and they go up a very high mountain. And what this Jarasandha does is he puts fire around that entire area, or a small hill, not a mountain. So Jarasandha puts fire around that entire mountain so they cannot do. And then that entire place gets burned down. But Krishna and Balarama ended up jumping off, which Jarasandha doesn't know. So Jarasandha thinks Krishna and Balarama are dead. So he goes back not to attack. And finally, after he's gone, you both come to Jaladhi Nagarim. You both come to your city, which is established in the ocean. Lord of Guru Vairappa, please save me. So that's how Jarasandha is deferred for now. He's going to come back much later on, right? When they all become much older and Bhima and all of that Mahabharata story comes, he'll come again. So Tadanu Mathuram Gatva Hatva Chamum Yavanahritam, Magada Patina Marge Sainyehi, put a F, Sainyeh Pureva Nivaritah Charama Vijayam Darpayasmai Pradaya Palayito, Jaladhi Nagarim Yato Vathalayeshwara Pahimam. Tadanu Mathuram Gatva Hatva Chamum Yavanahritam Magadapatina Marge Sainyeh Pureva Nivaritah Charama Vijayam Darpayasmai Pradaya Palayito Jaladhi Nagarim Yato Vathalayeshwara Pahimam.
तदनु मथुरां गत्वा हत्वा चमूं यवनाहृतां मगधपतिना मार्गे सैन्यैः पुरेव निवारितः चरमविजयं दर्पायास्मै प्रदाय पलायितो जलधिनगरीं यातो वातालयेश्वर पाहि माम् तदनु मथुरां गत्वा हत्वा चमूं यवनाहृतां मगधपतिना मार्गे सैन्यैः पुरेव निवारितः चरमविजयं दर्पायास्मै प्रदाय पलायितो जलधिनगरीं यातो वातालयेश्वर पाहि माम्
तदनु मथुरां गत्वा हत्वा चमूं यवनाहृतां मगधपतिना मार्गै सैन्याः पुरेव निवारितः चरमविजयं दर्पायास्मै प्रदाय पलायितो जलधिनगरीं यातो वातालयेश्वर पाहि माम् तदनु मथुरां गत्वा हत्वा चमूं यवनाहृतां मगधपतिना मार्गे सैन्याः पुरेव निवारितः. I think I lost my tune here.
அந்த இடத்துல word marge
Sainyaiv.
Yeah.
Sainyaiv purev nivaritah चरमविजयं दर्पायास्मै प्रदाय पलायितो जलधिनगरीं यातो वातालयेश्वर पाहि माम्.
Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. It's a very packed Dasakam. A lot of things were happening in this. The next one is relatively, should be a lighter one, except for a few just the initial stanzas. So 78 is Dwaraka Vasa Varnanam. So the Lord stay in Dwaraka, and Rukminya Sandeshascha. So the message that Rukmini sends to Krishna, right? Those are the two things. There's one other story which actually comes in between, but stanza 1. So this, I think, is pretty much the two-liner tune, same tune through the entire chapter, right? Tridasha Vardhaki Vardhita Kaushalam Tridasha Datta Samasta Vibhuti Mate Jaladi Madhyagatam Tvamabhushayo Navapuram Vapuranchita Rochisha. So, like we discussed last time, this Vishwakarma ends up constructing this massive fortress in the middle of the ocean, right? Dwaraka. And that was like done constructed in such a manner that like it has a lot of description of how the city is well planned city, very structured city, and it was also a very rich city, to the extent that they say that the description goes that at night people didn't have to light candles or anything. They didn't have to light any velaka, because the amount of gems that was there in all the houses was reflecting the moonlight, and that was enough of a light for them to live in this house without even having to light anything. So that was how rich that city was. And of course, there's like everybody does a Graha Pravesh. Krishna also did a Graha Pravesh for Dwaraka, because it says how all Indra and everybody comes to visit Krishna there to Dwaraka, and they all ended up presenting different things to Krishna for the Graha Pravesh. It talks about how that city was, the lords, all of them came there. And then that city, of course, Krishna, you are there, so it's very prosperous. Now everybody came and visited you there. So 3 dasha. Some books have 3 diva. If you have 3 diva, remove it and put 3 dasha. It means the same thing. It means the gods or the heaven. That's what it means. So 3 dasha. Vardhaki Vardhita Kaushalam, comma. 3 dasha Datta Samasta Vibhuti Mate Jaladhi Madhyagatam Tvamabhushayo, comma. Navapuram Vapuranchi Tarochisha. Tridasha Vardhaki Vardhita Kaushalam Tridasha Datta Samasta Vibhuti Mate Jaladhi Madhyagatam Tvamabhushayo Navapuram Vapuranchita Rochisha.
Tridasha Vardhaki Vardhita Kaushalam Tridasha Datta Samasta Vibhuti Mate Jaladhi Madhyagatam Tvamabhushayo Navapuram Vapuranchita Rochisha. Tridasha Vardhaki Vardhita Kaushalam Tridasha Datta Samasta Vibhuti Mate Jaladhi Madhyagatam Tvamabhushayo Navapuram Vapuranchita Rochisha.
त्रिदश वर्धकी वर्धित कौशलम त्रिदश दत्त समस्त विभूतिमत् जलधि मध्य गतं त्वमभूषयो नवपुरं वपुरञ्चित रोचिषा. त्रिदश वर्धकी वर्धित कौशलम त्रिदश दत्त समस्त विभूतिमत् जलधि मध्य गतं त्वमभूषयो नवपुरं वपुरञ्चित रोचिषा.
That's it. Dadushire Vata Bhubritire Vatim Halabhrite Tanayam Vidishasanat Mahitamutsava Ghoshamapu Pushaha Samuditair Muditai Sahayadavaihi. So very interesting story happens here. There was a king called Revata who had about 100 sons, and then he had one daughter called as Revati. So because daughter of Revata. So because he's got 100 sons and one daughter, she was a very precious daughter, right? So the king said, you know what, I'm not able to find any groom for my daughter, because my daughter is special. I can't find anybody who is equivalent. And here is where here is where the concept of time travel comes in the Bhagavatam. It says this Revata ends up going to Brahma Loka to meet with Brahma, to ask Brahma who is the appropriate groom for his daughter. So when he goes there, so Brahma is busy, right? So he's made to wait for a minute or something, for a kshanam. And then when Brahma comes, this Revakata says that I got my daughter Revati. Revati is also there with him. Says I've got actually her brother, one of the brother actually takes this Revati. He goes and says, my sister Revati is here, and I want to find who is the best groom for my daughter, for my sister right now. So Brahma laughs and says, by the time you came here, and the time you waited, and the time it's going to take for you to go back, 24 Chatur Yugams would have passed. So Chatur Yugam, one Chatur Yugam is the 4 yugas combined, right? Just 24 Chatur Yugams would have passed, which means there's no way to trace who was existing when you left the earth, right? He says, however, you are blessed because Bhagavan himself has taken birth as Balarama there. So you go to Dwaraka and then you get your daughter married to Balarama. So because by the time you go there, Balarama would be there, right? So when this person comes along with Revati, Balarama is there at the time. So he comes to Dwaraka and Revati gets married to Balarama. So that is, it's a big festival that happens there. And then that's a marriage that actually happens here. So, Dadushi Revata Bhubhriti Revatim, Halabrite Tanayam Vidhi Shasanat Mahitam Utsava Ghosham Apu, you can break that, Ghosham Apu Pushaha, Samuditair Muditaihi, Putta is Muditais Saha Yadavaihi. Dadushi Revata Bhubhriti Revatim Halabrite Tanayam Vidhi Shasanat Mahitamutsava Ghosham Apu Pushaha Samuditair Muditais Sahayadavaihi.
Dadushirevata bhubhritirevatim halabhriti tanayam vidhishasanat mahitamutsava ghoshamapupushaham samuditair muditai sahayadavaihi. Dadushirevata bhubhritirevatim halabhriti tanayam vidhishasanat mahitamutsava ghoshamapupushaham samuditair muditai sahayadavaihi.
Dadushirevata bhubhrutirevatim halabhrute tanayam vidhishasanat mahitam utsava ghoshamapupushah samudite muditai sahayadavaihi. Dadushirevata bhubhrutirevatim halabhrute tanayam vidhishasanat mahitamutsava ghoshamapupushah samuditer muditai sahayadavaihi.
Answer 3. Atavidarbasutam khalu rukminim pranahinim tvayi deva sahodaraha swayamadit satachedi mahi bhuje swatamasa tamasadu. So now a different story starts, and this will go through 78 and 79, right? So in the region of Vidarbha, which is Nagpur, present day Nagpur, there was a king called Bhishmaka. This Bhishmaka had 5 sons and 1 daughter. The first son was Rukmi, and the daughter was Rukmini. So this, the Bhishmaka was a nice person, but however, this Rukmi was in the same friend circle as Kamsa and Jarasandha and all of them, right? So they all hate Krishna. And however, this Bhishmaka was a nice person. So now this Rukmini, she has never seen Krishna. However, Nagpur, Dwaraka are close by, right? Maharashtra, Gujarat area. But however, she's heard about people who come to her kingdom, talk about this great person called Krishna, who was in Vrindavan, who went to Mathura, who's now in Dwaraka, who's there, Dwarakadish. So she's heard about Krishna. And she's not seen him, but she somehow falls in love with Krishna just by hearing about him. So she really wants to get married to Krishna. And Bhishmaka says, fine with me too, no problem. But however, her brother Rukmi absolutely hates Krishna. And so he is friends with another person who hates Krishna, with his Shishupala. So this Shishupala is the king of Chedi. So Shishupala, we'll see who it is, which will come later, Krishna's cousin, right? So Rukmi wants to get Rukmini married to Shishupala. So he opposes the marriage. When Bhishmaka says, hey, why can't she marry Krishna? He opposes that. Atha Vidarbha Sutam Khalu Rukminim, Pranayinim Twayi Deva Sahodaraha Swayam Aditsata Chedi Mahi Bhuje, Swa Tamasa तमसादुम् उपाश्रयन् अथ विदर्भसुतां खलु रुक्मिणीं प्रणयिनीं त्वयि देव सहोदरः स्वयमदित्सतचेदि महीभुजे स्वतमसा तमसाधुमुपाश्रयन्
अथ विदर्भसुतां खलु रुक्मिणीं प्रणयिनीं त्वयि देव सहोदरः स्वयमदित्सतचेदिमहि भुजे स्वतमसा तमसाधुमुपाश्रयन् अथ विदर्भसुतां खलु रुक्मिणीं प्रणयिनीं त्वयि देव सहोदरः स्वयमदित्सतचेदिमहि भुजे स्वतमसा तमसाधुमुपाश्रयन्
अथ विदर्भसुतां खलु रुक्मिणीं प्रणयिनीं त्वयि देव सहोदरः स्वयमदित्सतचेदिमहि भुजे स्वतमसा तमसाधुमुपाश्रयन् अथ विदर्भसुतां खलु रुक्मिणीं प्रणयिनीं त्वयि देव सहोदरः स्वयमदित्सतचेदिमहि भुजे स्वतमसा तमसाधुमुपाश्रयन्
Stanza 4. चिरधृतप्रणया त्वयि बालिका सपदि काङ्क्षितभङ्गसमाकुला तव निवेदयितुं द्विजमादिशत् स्वकदनं कदनङ्गविनिर्मितम्. So Krishna, of course, he knows. So he knows who Rukmini is and all that, and how Rukmini wants to marry Krishna and everything. But even he has not seen, right? So he had made up his mind. And Rukmini, of course, is Mahalakshmi's avatar, right? So of course she has to get married to Krishna here, right? So this Rukmini, now this what Rukmi does is he arranges for a marriage event, and that marriage event where he's going to call people, where Shishupala is going to come and Rukmini is going to get married. So Rukmini now doesn't know what to do. She has to somehow get Krishna there. So because she can't leave, right? So what she does is like the college days where you send your friend to go and propose to somebody, or tell somebody that, hey, you know what, my friend is in love with you, right? Similarly, she sends a Brahmana, however. Or she's much more, robust. She's very, and we'll see what happens in the next few stanzas. So she sends a Dvija, a Brahmin boy. She sends with a message to go to Dwaraka urgently that evening itself. So Chira Dhrita Pranaya Tvai Balika, Sapadi Kankshita Bhanga Samakula Tava Nivedayitum Dvijam Adishat, if you want to break it, Swa Kadanam Kadananga Vinirmitam. Chiradrita Pranaya Tvai Balika Sapadi Kankshita Bhanga Samakula Tava Nivedayitum Dvijamadishate Swakadanam Kadananga Vinirmitam.
चिरधृतप्रणया त्वयि बालिका सपदि काङ्क्षितभङ्गसमाकुला तव निवेदयितुं द्विजमादिशत् स्वकदनं कदनङ्गविनिर्मितम् चिरधृतप्रणया त्वयि बालिका सपदि काङ्क्षितभङ्गसमाकुला तव निवेदयितुं द्विजमादिशत् स्वकदनं कदनङ्गविनिर्मितम्
चिरधृतप्रणया त्वयि बालिका सपदि काङ्क्षितभङ्गसमाकुला तव निवेदयितुं द्विजमादिशत् स्वकदनं कदनङ्गविनिर्मितम् चिरधृतप्रणया त्वयि बालिका सपदि काङ्क्षितभङ्गसमाकुला तव निवेदयितुं द्विजमादिशत् स्वकदनं कदनङ्गविनिर्मितम्.
We'll do 5 and 6 meaning together. Dvija Sutopi Chet Turnam Upayayau, Tava Puram hi Durasha Durasadam Mudamavapa Cha Sadara Pujitaha, Sa Bhavata Bhavatapa Hrita Swayam. Dvijasutopi Chaturnamupayayau Tava Puram hi Durasha Durasadam Mudamavapacha Sadara Pujitaha Sa Bhavata Bhavatapa Hrita Swayam.
द्विजसुतोऽपि चतुर्नमुपाययौ तव पुरं हि दुरासदम् नृपदवाप च सादरपूजितः स भवतापहृता स्वयम्.
Become third line, mudama vapa.
द्विजसुतोऽपि चतुर्नमुपाययौ तव पुरं हि तव पुरं हि दुरासदम् मुदमवाप च सादरपूजितः स भवतापहृता स्वयम्.
द्विजसुतोऽपि चतुर्नमुपाययौ तव पुरं हि दुरासदम् मुदमवाप च सादरपूजितः स भवतापहृता स्वयम्. द्विजसुतोऽपि चतुर्नमुपाययौ तव पुरं हि दुरासदम् मुदमवाप च सादरपूजितः स भवतापहृता स्वयम्.
Into the meaning of 5 and 6, and then we'll do 6 and stop today. So this Brahmin boy, of course, he's coming from Vidarbha region to Dwaraka. So first of all, he's worried how he can get into the gates of Dwaraka and reach, but somehow he manages to come. And, he's extremely happy that he's able to now meet Krishna. And then he meets Krishna, and Krishna also welcomes him and gets him inside and says, what are you here? Where are you from? And all that. And this Brahmin boy says that I've been sent by the princess of Vidarbha called Rukmini, who is in love with you, right? So he first gives a summary before he reads the message. He gives a summary saying this princess is absolutely in love with you, and she's not able to come, so she's actually sent me, and she sent a letter with me. So that's what he says, and the letter he reads in the next stanza. So that's what he says so far. Sacha bhavantam avochata kundine, nripa suta khalu rajati rukmini twai samut sukhaya Nija dhirata, put a plus, rahitaya hitaya prahitosmyaham. Sacha bhavantam avochata kundine nripasuta khalu rajati rukmini twai samutsukaya nija dhirata rahitaya hitaya prahitosmyaham.
सच भवन्तमवोचत कुण्डिनी नृपसुतो खलु राजति रुक्मिणी त्वयि समुत्सुकया निजधीरता रहितया हितया प्रहितोऽस्म्यहम्.
Become a second name, Nripasuta.
As in Nrupata.
Something you said different, yeah.
सच भवन्तमवोचत कुण्डिनी नृपसुता खलु राजति रुक्मिणी त्वयि समुत्सुकया निजधीरता रहितया हितया प्रहितोऽस्म्यहम्.
सच भवन्तमवोचत कुण्डिने नृपसुता खलु राजति रुक्मिणी त्वयि समुत्सुकया निजधीरता रहितया हितया प्रहितोऽस्म्यहम्. सच भवन्तमवोचत कुण्डिने नृपसुता खलु राजति रुक्मिणी त्वयि समुत्सुकया निजधीरता रहितया हितया प्रहितोऽस्म्यहम्.
We'll do just one more stanza and stop today, because the next class chapter is a pretty big chapter. So I want to finish this and that in the next one. Tava hritasmi puraiva gunairaham, harati mam kila chedi nripodhuna ai kripalaya palaya mamiti, prajagade jagadeka pate taya. So 7 and 8 is Rukmini's message, which is a pretty long one. So I'll say the meaning in the next class. Tava hritasmi puraiva gunairaham harati mam kila chedi nripodhuna ai kripalaya palaya mamiti prajagade jagade kapate taya.
तव हृतास्मि पुरैव गुणैरहं हरति मां किल चेदि नृपोऽधुना अयि कृपालय पालय मामिति प्रजगदे जगदे कपते तया. तव हृतास्मि पुरैव गुणैरहं हरति मां किल चेदि नृपोऽधुना अयि कृपालय पालय मामिति प्रजगदे जगदेकपते तया
तव हृतास्मि पुरैव गुणैरहं हरति मां किल चेदि नृपोऽधुना अयि कृपालय पालय मामिति प्रजगदे जगदेकपते तया तव हृतास्मि पुरैव गुणैरहं हरति मां किल चेदि नृपोऽधुना अयि कृपालय पालय मामिति प्रजगदे जगदेकपते तया
परब्रह्मणे नमः. In the class here. सान्द्रानन्दावबोधात्मकमनुपमितं कालदेशावधिभ्यां निर्मुक्तं नित्यमुक्तं निगमशतसहस्रेण निर्भास्यमानम् अस्पष्टं दृष्टमात्रे पुनरुरुपुरुषार्थात्मकं ब्रह्मतत्त्वं तत्तावद्भाति साक्षात् गुरुपवनपुरे हन्त भाग्यं जनानां कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत्कियत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. Thank you everyone.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you.
Rajesh.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.